see, yeah. Come around me, you see. Around me, you see, yeah. Come around me, you see. You see. Come around me, you see, yeah. Come around me, you see. Come around me, you see. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're live.
What, we're live?
We are all the way live, boys.
We're all the way live. Okay.
No
this
way.
time. We
How you
are
doing,
here. I'm good. I think I'm almost on my time zone. Like I'm very close to being fully healed from not sleeping proper
You
hours.
must
But I'm
be
there.
Exhausted.
Yeah, well, it was the coming home, like, and then the 24-hour turnaround to go back up to New York for the other show, and then just like, okay, my brain is good. But it was great. It was great. I'm glad I did it. And we got lots to talk about today because of it. But here, let's do a quick round of introductions, and I got to really finish all right, everybody, welcome to NDI Now, the live show about, well, what's happening in NDI right now. Then maybe a little bit later, too. We got all kinds of cool stuff to talk about, but first, let's count it off and let everybody know who's here. Over to my right is Mr. Jordan Friday. Say hello to Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
Oh,
Now, if
before
we're
we
playing...
start, hold on.
Whoa, wait. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I am using
Llama Boys will be waiting for you to respond because my phone's out. All right, down below him in my masterful monitor over here would be SighFye, Silas Pappas. All right. And special guest and new entrant to the show this week, running the console, switching live and running the stream, Mr. Alex Udell. Thank you, Alex, for being much obliged. Yep, producer Alex. Okay, all right, so IBC just happened. We got all kinds of cool stuff to talk about, but first, a really funny story. So Jordan got a backpack for the show, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and show everybody.
Yep. Yeah, you got to full screen them. You got to see this.
Yeah. So this backpack, it's a normal-looking backpack, except for it has an LED screen in it. And it was a walking advertisement for the show. For not just this show, but for some, for our Mass Point. By the way, big shout out to Mass Point Digital, sponsors of the show. Also, you can see here in the backpack. No, we are not selling these. We probably should, though, because here's what happens. Going through TSA with one of these is very complicated. So coming out of Amsterdam, I get in my... I had a security pass for a very specific hour. I jump in line. I get in there. I put everything on the turn belt. Now, mind you, I've got camera, microphone, drone, 2 laptops, multiple batteries for all this gear. I got all this stuff and an LED panel hidden in my backpack. I get through security. Both my bags get flagged. The first bag takes them about 10 minutes to go through and realize it's a lot of batteries, drones, and cameras. That's fine. The next bag, they proceed, which is the backpack, they proceed to start taking everything out of it, running it through the scanner, taking more out of it, running through the scanner. And then at this point, they're now trying to figure out how to take the backpack apart because the LED panel is nested in a pocket that you can't get to. It's zipped in. The only thing that comes out of is a USB cord. So they have called over 2 more security guards. There's a team of 3 pouring over my backpack. The security line is now backed up about 25 people. So if you were coming out of Amsterdam last Tuesday around 9:30 in the morning, I'm sorry. In advance, I'm very sorry. So the line is backed up. The number of bags that needs to get searched and sorted are now backed up to the point where they can't scan anybody at this point. It's incredible. And they're spending, 10 minutes they're taking everything apart they can in this bag. I mean, all my stuff, my life is dumped out on the turnstile here at this point. Finally, I'm like, guys, can you tell me what you're looking for? And he flips around the monitor. It's this big square thing. They're like, we're trying to figure out where this is. And I'm like, can I turn it on for you? So I plug it in, I turn it on, I plug it in, and they all stare at it for a moment, look at me and go, Okay, that's pretty cool. And then proceed to like
Wow.
show it to everybody. And at this point, I'm like, now I got to put my life back together and put all my stuff
That's
back
how
in the
you
bag.
lose
But
stuff.
almost 30 minutes at the turnstile there, waiting to get through security for that stupid bag.
Oh my gosh.
And, yeah, so good times. Thank you to Jordan for that lovely TSA gift.
Oh man,
Good
I'm
times,
so
good
sorry.
times.
I literally thought that it was going to be just a nice little like, hey, you know, because I saw it. I originally saw that same bag at NAB. So
It was phenomenal walking around the show floor. I got a lot of attention, a lot of conversations started. We handed out a lot of business cards because of it.
real
I
quick
just
though,
didn't anticipate.
Did you pack it like in your back, like in your care, like, or were you like coming into
No,
the
I
airport
used
with
it.
it?
I didn't want to have that many bags, so I used it as my backpack.
So you can take it places, just don't pack it in your check-in.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
check it.
Okay.
Yeah, check it.
Yeah.
Don't run it through security.
That's freaking
Which was
hilarious.
crazy because I went through like 3 security before that. So it just, who knows? So anyway, word to the wise. If you're going to get an LED banner on your back, check it first if you're going through TSA, especially in Amsterdam. Good times. All right, let's talk about the show. So all kinds of fun stuff. Let's get right into it. We got all kinds of announcements, things we saw at IBC, things that I think are really relevant to the industry. So where are we starting, everybody? What's first on the list here?
We have a little video that you did that you're just essentially walking around the show floor at IBC. It was just sort of giving everybody sort of, you know, a little bit of a taste of how the show floor was if you weren't able to go. So thought that would be good. A good place to start.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. All right, the show floor is. There are so many vendors here, so much going on. I mean, you've got drones, you've got cameras, you've got everything imaginable at this show. It's incredible the amount of gear you can find here. And some of this stuff has never made it over to the States, so it just gets exciting to see it. Wait a second. There's a rare spotting of a llama. Everybody, this is Ewan with Llama Audio. No, I'll happily chat over the top of this
audio.
one.
Yeah,
Jordan's
JB&A,
telling
our
me,
favorite friends.
Mute Nick,
How you guys doing?
There's
Good,
hey,
man,
big
good,
shout
man.
out to
What are you seeing?
in there?
What's interesting
Who's
out
on
here
the
right now?
stream right now
apart from
watching. You didn't think
ourselves,
you'd make it on the
obviously.
show, did
there's
you?
wonderful stuff out here. Yeah, I mean, Make Pro X is quite interesting. They've got. Have you been there?
We just came from there. We just got
what a
Frank to
distance.
talk about the new product.
I guarantee this wasn't actually rehearsed. This was just like an amazing coincidence, honestly. Yeah.
Completely.
No, interesting. A lot of cloud workflows as well. We were on the AWS stand, which is great. We did this thing called the IBC Accelerator, which was interesting. And it's all to do with cloud and hybrid workflows. There's some amazing stuff going on, yeah. It's exciting times to live, huh?
What is new for you all this year?
For us, yeah, okay, so we're just releasing the Llama NDI virtual sound card, which is great. Anyone who doesn't know about NDI audio can now go out there and actually start testing it because it's free, which you hate because you're our distributor. But no, but it's basically, it's a way of actually getting introduced to Llama NDI audio. So that's great. And yeah, we got some great new stuff with Connect that you guys need to check out. I know Jordan is going to be super pumped.
You hear that, Jordan? That we're already sending you homework. This is good. Awesome. Well, listen.
Go. Hey,
On the floor. We'll
good
see
luck,
you later.
guys. Cheers, bye.
See, you just never know who you're going to bump into here at IBC when you're just trolling around on the floor. Come on, boys. Say hi. We just saw you and he said get to work. Okay, now it's time to head into what I call the Hall of Cameras. This is where all of the support vendors are, the tripods, all the really fun. Well, if you're into cameras, this is where the fun is for you as a camera operator. Let's go. All right, it's day 4. The show is almost over, but we got a couple things we got to go check out and show you that we found here at the show. Some new, some from existing partners. So let's go check out some cool stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we just heard the airport is chaos. We're escaping now. Leanne, what do you have to say?
Best IBC show ever.
Best IBC show ever. You heard it here first. All right, we'll see you all in the next IBC, if not at NAB first. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we just heard the airport is chaos. We're escaping now. Leanne, what do you have to say?
That was fun.
IBC show ever.
Best IBC show ever. You heard it here first.
Hey, Nick.
Next IBC.
Yep.
Are you there, Nick? Kill your
I am.
speakers, my lord.
I'm sorry. Okay, so Elias, we shot everything with a DJI Osmo 3. So that was the quick, I don't know if you know some of the snap cuts there where it flipped front to back. That's because I hit the little rotate button and the camera would go from selfie mode back into full mode. Quite interesting. A lot of fun, really easy to shoot with. Jordan put together a really cool audio kit to go along with it. So we got clean audio all the way through. Now, if you've never been to IBC, one thing to know about that hall is unlike NAB, which is like 3 big buildings and you get lost in the building, IBC is 14 buildings that you can get lost just trying to figure out how to get between them. And some of them you can't get to unless you go through 3 others. It's the most exhausting habit trail ever, but it is a lot of fun. All right, so real quick, there was one clip in there, and Alex, I don't know if it's easy to queue up or not, but just towards the end, there was a monitor that had Robert Musso's name on it.
Oh, nice.
That was actually very key because that is the first professional full-size flat panel to have NDI built into the panel. So it's a company called Soma. They're brand new. They're pretty good size. I think that from what I heard, they were a bunch of Samsung people that put that together and built these panels and is building NDI directly into them. So effectively a giant flat panel with an Ethernet port on it. So what more could you want out of life?
Where do you think this is really gonna? Where do you think this
$1,200.
Like sort of because I feel like we want NDI and everything, but where do you think this is really gonna live in general?
So I think so I guess what you have to do is you have to look at the NDI team right now. So so this is a group that is no longer part of like VizRT New Tech. Oh, there's the panel. Thank you, Alex. Oh, nice. And I think it was a 50 if I remember. Solum. That's what it was. Solum, not Soma. So Solum, maybe signing with a distributor near you. You never know. But pretty cool looking product nonetheless. But I think so. If you look at what the NDI team is doing right now, the partnerships they're making, the people they're hiring and bringing into the fold, I think that's probably the most interesting piece because we've got, we got a missing man. Man down.
Where am I? Where? He sent me to the void.
We've replaced Silas with the Black Void. Okay, so when you look at what the NDI team is doing right now, they've hired a couple people out of the AV over IP industry. So within the last year, they hired a very nice gentleman out of the SDVOE Alliance. And then just a couple weeks ago, they hired another one. So they're building up a team of people who know how to build an AV over IP market space and get partners to sign on. And I think that's probably really the if you look at that, they're building up an army of people to go out and get NDI embedded in more places. And that's the future of NDI, right? It's not as much about just some of these individual products, but it's about a bigger ecosystem with more players playing in that space. So
Elias brought up something pretty cool. He said, can you imagine if they were all PoE++ enabled? Like, can you imagine how cool that would be? Is if they were
Like
all...
if they're powered.
Yeah, if they were powered over that. That would just be... Oh my God.
Incredible.
Wild. So.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a PoE+++ as the next iteration. Maybe like 90 watts, 100 watts. I don't know. This would be killer.
PoE mega.
So that's sort of the direction I see NDI going. There are some really interesting partnership announcements coming out. There are new products coming out. Let's flow through a few of them. Why don't we jump right over to PTZ Optics and we'll launch with the new product that they dropped. Obviously, we've been talking about Hive for the last couple months. Everybody's sort of familiar with that now. But of course, you always need something to connect to Hive. So let's roll the PTZ Optics clip and we'll talk about what they're showing. That is NDI.
There it is.
All right.
What are you showing here next to the little studio cam?
This is our brand new 4K Z-Cam. This is coming out at the end of this year. It's got quick touch buttons on the side so you can adjust the zoom and the focus settings. It has SDI, USB, HDMI, power over Ethernet. It also comes with NDI HX3 out of the box. It's got a built-in microphone, a beamforming microphone. It's got a time of flight sensor. It has a tally light, and it's going to be in a choice of 12 and 20 times optical zoom.
So this is basically a replacement for the junior one sitting next to it.
Yeah, essentially it is a hybrid between our Studio Pro and our Move 4K. So it's getting some of the features from the Studio Pro that we've gotten a lot of great feedback about, and then we're mingling in some of the really cool features from the Move 4K.
Oh, this looks like, again, what's the expected ship date on this?
End of this year. We're really excited. It's going to be about $1,200.
So very cool little camera. I mean, we played with the studio cams when they first dropped. I think they're a great webcam. They're great for esports. They got a lot of great use cases, but I think the missing link in those cameras was having 4K because they were only 720p cameras. So I really like this new box for that. They put a ton of controls on the outside, always something that everybody complains about with box cameras, which is how do I make any adjustments because there's no screen. So you've got lots of exterior buttons. You got USB, you got NDI, you got HDMI, you've got SDI. So everything is there to make, I think, for a really killer camera. But this time, of course, with the 4K sensor. The interesting piece on that is they did include the time of flight sensor, which is what allows it to keep very sharp focus. So if you've not played with one of these, check out Silas's video from I think 6 months or so ago, where he talks about that camera specifically over a cup of coffee and how it uses the time of flight sensor to get really, really sharp focus or kind of keep things in focus. So pretty smooth on that. A very cool little box. Shall we jump? Any comments on that one, friends?
I just like
feel...
that.
Oh, go ahead, Silas.
I had the same thought, I bet, too. I was just going to say I like how they're doing like both versions, how there is a more professional one and there is kind of a more, I guess, prosumer consumer one that you can have really whatever features you want. They're kind of like go with one or the other, but they still share some things like the time of flight. I thought it was a cool move by them.
Well, if you talk to Paul, the first one was really aimed at Shopify. And Shopify sort of broadcasters, and that's so it's sort of dialed in for that type of audience. I think this one is for the rest of us.
Yeah, because I feel like there's always going to be a space for I need a really high quality camera, small form factor. I'm not worried about interchangeable lenses. I'm not worried about, being able to record to card and all that kind of stuff in the same way, but I need it to be as high quality as humanly possible in a small form factor. And I don't want it to break the bank. And I think that's where this sort of sits, where there are a lot of options for box cams. But I think the fact that they've really put a lot of time and effort. You're about to say something. What are you thinking?
Well, and I think most importantly, kudos to Paul and the team.
Yeah.
They're no longer charging you extra for NDI. They're embedding it in every camera right out of the box. Right. So no more going and getting a license and struggling to figure out how to instill that license key and do all that. It's like everything's NDI now, even if you don't need it, which I think is, great for the NDI team. Good for Paul and the rest of us.
It's like the Star Wars. What was that in I think was that in the third movie of the latest ones, the Rise of Skywalker? It's like they fly now. It's like it has NDI now. It's like it's the same thing.
I'm gonna make a meme of that.
Thank you. Oh no. Oh no.
Please do.
I'm getting my paper. I need to write down this timestamp so I can make meaning of this
Please
later.
don't. Also, I wanna shout out Ewan in the comments from Llama. They're still discussing the possibility of NDI native audio I/O devices with a couple of manufacturers, which is really freaking cool. And I do want to give them a shout out, because even though they give me a little needling over my audio from time to time, I have not. Like, rarely do you see a company be as receptive to feedback and as fast to, oh, you want that? Like, as these guys are. Like, we've got a Discord where they're constantly throwing stuff in, saying, oh, what about this? What about this? Let's do this. Oh, there was this issue. Oh, we'll fix it. Like, the dev cycles on this stuff is just so fast. But again, with NDI, a lot of people, I think, are wanting to be first to market, and then other people are wanting to say, it's like, well, let's make this the best. It's like, but the cool part is that, especially with the way that Llama does things, it's like they're trying to be like first to market and have stuff like ironclad from the beginning, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm really happy to hear about that kind of stuff.
So, okay, so here's my prediction. You asked what's going to happen with NDI. Obviously, it's going to continue to grow. They're hiring a team of people that are going to build it into a larger ecosystem. Most importantly, though, this should be the year of audio. Yeah. Not just for the work that the Llama guys are doing, which I can't punch their biggest announcement. They're going to have to make it themselves in the coming weeks. But I know. So just start bugging Ewan and the team. But for the fact that there is some work being done to develop code to convert Dante chipsets into NDI chipsets, right? So what effectively this will allow people to do is a manufacturer that's building Dante enabled product could take that same product, put different code on it, and make it NDI enabled product, right? So think of the thousands of Dante devices that are floating out there. And now we could see all those manufacturers coming into play with audio products for NDI.
Wait, so you're saying, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not catching this. You're saying it's got a Dante chipset in it. It's a what's it? It's a device. It's a box. It has a Dante chipset in it. And then what?
The manufacturer could decide not to install the Dante code, but install a NDI code instead, right? So an NDI codec embedded in that chip, right?
Could it be
so
concurrent?
now you've got, no, it's going to be one or the other.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Probably saves on having to do so much additional development where it's like, well, this NDI audio version of a box doesn't exist. So then you could just say, well, the Dante version does. So you could make a Dante version.
Think of how many products out there. Yeah, how many native Dante products are sitting out there, from small form factor encoders to throwdowns to everything, right? So now you've got, a wider array of manufacturers that could come into the space. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's jump over to KiloView and talk about the new releases on that front. I think there's some really relevant ones over there that I want to hit. I don't know what's in the clip, so let's roll it and we'll break it down.
This clip is really, there was a lot to this one.
Yeah, we don't need it.
So everybody's going to be able to watch these clips on our YouTube channel. That's not an issue, but we're just going to sort of scrub through this one. There's no audio, but we just want to sort of see the specific things in their display that they had at the booth, and you could sort of walk us through what there was, because it was a lot. They had a ton going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the Mass Point YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is this one?
All right, so we've got first up, so there's nothing really new in this except for right here. They released a new card for the existing card frame. That is an RN4. That 4 is basically the 4K HDMI full NDI encoder decoder. So it's like a Spark. It's like the just a standard. It's a throwdown box. So think of it as an N40. Now it's a N40 rack in a frame. So there it is right there. And that's it. And so it's either encode or decode, but you can stack multiple in a frame, so you could build a very dense encode decode type.
You pause it, Alex. I want to see that. That was pretty sick. Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be the one on the bottom there with the dual HDMI ports.
And these are, and you could just flip these out for whatever it is that you want.
Yeah. So there's about 6 or 7 different card versions that will continue to expand. And you can build a frame. There's a 4-rack one. There is a 16 and a 32 module version. So there's different sizes of frames depending on how you want to do it. But you've got NDI and a card. That's not the super sexy piece though. So let's scrub forward a little bit and talk about what's coming next. Okay, right here. This is really cool. Okay, so this is an off-the-shelf N60 with an extra line of code in it. So this is HDMI input, HDMI output, encode, decode, whatever it may be. I use these all the time. We've got these in the studio. This encoder does full NDI and NDI HX. However, this coder has an extra line of code in it. This line of code does ultra low latency NDI. Now, as of right now, it only works point to point between these two boxes because that code was developed by KiloView, not the NDI team. So until the NDI team embraces this new line of code, but Alex, if you jump forward until we widen out to see the monitor and the laptop. Okay, so what you can see is the time code is almost exact between the monitor on the wall and the laptop feeding the encoder. So
nuts.
Laptop to encoder, encoder to decoder, decoder to monitor. There was about a frame difference, which is unheard of in the NDI world currently, right? It has to be done via this particular box.
I was like messing with that footage, and when I was editing it, I visually couldn't see the difference between the two, like side by side, but it's like, yeah, you can see the frame is like 1 or 2 off.
Yeah. And it's so minor. It was hard to catch it. That's why I recorded for a couple seconds to see if we could catch.
If you haven't heard by now, there's some new stuff from New Tech.
So
from
all right, so that's to be released at a later date. However, let's jump to the last bit. Alex, if we could jump back over to KiloView for a second. I want to show, and then we'll talk, and then let's scrub to the end here and just talk about the frame. So there's Judy. Hi, Judy. Good to see you. Okay, here we go, right there. Perfect. Okay, so this is brand new. It hasn't been released yet, but it will be soon. This is an 18-slot frame designed to hold a whole bunch of NDI cards. So you can see a card sitting there on the top. That's an HDMI encoder or decoder card. The new cards will have some scaling and conversion built into them. You will have about, I think, 4 or 5 different cards. So you have an SDI card, an HDMI card. Every card can either be an encoder or a decoder. We'll also have a transcoder card, which will be able to take NDI, HX to full to HX. It has a whole bunch of different, sort of flavors to the joy there. Embedded in every one of these frames is a bonding decoder. So you have the KiloView software, which controls all of the encoders and decoders. But then in addition to that, you've got the debonding server, which is basically if you're using one of these bad boys, which is their new bonding encoder. This is the P3 Mini. This has multiple cellular chips into it. So this can feed into that frame, then automatically get flipped over to HDMI, SDI, or to another NDI signal right there in the box. So no more worrying about where am I going to load the software? How am I going to run this thing? It's all built into the frame. Now, the killer part is all of the resources are shared on the backplane along with Ethernet and power. So you have basically 2 10 gig ports, a power cable, and you're up and running. Now you can feed it SDI, pull out HDMI, whatever you want to do. Very, very excited about that frame. Judy did mention they are going to open it up to other manufacturers in the form of if somebody else wanted to build a unique card and put it in there. They're open to that suggestion because I think they want to sort of be more
Judy's
of an open frame.
by the way. In case
What?
you didn't
Where?
See that. She's in
Judy? What? I didn't even say hello, Judy.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show today. Pleasure to have you here. So Judy,
I'm
that was the
excited.
most exciting thing you showed me the whole time. So pretty killer on that front.
Having
Here to answer
one
questions.
sort of having one sort of like box that is able to, I mean, we talk about these sort of devices, one device to rule them all type of situations. It's like sort of building your production workflow, especially your NDI workflow around KiloView is seeming more and more like just this is the obvious choice. At this point.
They're building an amazing ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from that perspective, and what I love about it is if you think about the low latency encoder, I mean, that's what a lot of people have been asking for, and the NDI team hasn't solved it yet, but Judy and her team have put the cycles behind it to get it done, right? So I just think they're pushing development on NDI in such an amazing way right now, and they're one of the companies to watch. One of my other, we had a sort of an aha moment looking at the microcontroller she built. So the team has that multi-viewer and camera controller. That's actually a fully functional NDI camera controller with a multi-viewer built in, so you can control any camera that's NDI enabled on the network. And it's like now there's a sort of a standalone controller that, hey, we're not camera oriented, we're NDI oriented. So very cool on that front. Love what the team is doing over there.
That's awesome.
All right, let's jump over to Viz and talk about the new stuff coming out of Viz this week.
I'm excited.
Yep. So obviously everybody probably saw the announcement.
If you haven't heard by now, there's some new stuff from New Tech. Well, from Viz RT, but I'm never going to make myself from saying New Tech. Let's have a look at it. All right, so what you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is Vision. This is the next generation of the TriCaster. You know, this is really a replacement for the 2 Elite, but more importantly is what's hiding above it. This is the new audio bridge. You can see right here, we got the audio meters peaking right away. We've got what's inside, and we got a couple of buttons there for the monitoring aspect. But if we jump to the back, kind of hard to see, but right there nestled above the top of Vision is 8 XLR TRS combo inputs and 4 combo XLR outs. Well, just straight up and XLR outputs, but 8 in and 4 out, all in a 1 RU with an Ethernet port only. That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, so this is the input configuration panel. So now instead of having to click down into each individual viewport, I can take this drop down, select whatever source I want to have populate that input, come in and rename that so it's going to be reflected in the UI, and I can also address the panel for the main bus and whatnot. So, and of course, if we have to drill down a little bit further, we have quick access to that configuration for chroma keying capabilities.
Please tell me we're getting this on everything.
This will eventually, of course, when we develop something for the new flagship device, all the platforms benefit. So this will be coming down. If you scroll down a little bit to my lower monitor, you can see we already have it in the Mini S. So this will be coming to everyone.
Okay, reminder to the audience, because we just took a look at both of them in the rack. Mini S is
Mini S is the software iteration of TriCaster, so now we're going to be licensing and allowing you to utilize the full installer to deploy it on any hardware you'd like. Now, we are going to have a certification program. We have one device that's been fully certified already. That's the Lenovo P3 Ultra. We have a few other computers in the works actively being reviewed. But once again, you have the license, you have the installer. We're going to put forward the recommended specifications, so you want to make sure that you're running a robust enough computer to really handle the TriCaster software.
And the Vision is?
The Vision is available in 2 different hardware configurations. We have the 1RU rack-mounted system that's really designed to live in a server closet. That's going to have the option of being completely IP-oriented, or we can slide in a Matrox card. That's going to have 8 12G SDI-capable spigots that are independently configurable. Or we can go with an HP Z8 Tower, which will allow you to, once again, do all IP. We can slide in up to 2 of those Matrox cards, so you can get up to 16 independently configurable 12G SDI out and out.
Big Orange is back, baby. Get ready. This stuff's going to be hot.
Okay, lots to unpack there. Let's start from the beginning. So the first clip out of the gate was Vision. That's the replacement for the TC2. And it is an all HP built platform, no more proprietary hardware. It only has SDI inputs in it. So you can order it with 8 or 16 or 0. But it's new hardware. There is new software, and you saw that in sort of the later clip there. And I think the big change is the I/O panel. So part of that, what we were showing there was how you now just have one panel, and you can adjust all of your I/O at once and not have to go into every individual camera to make changes and adjustments. So love that. That's also in the Mini S. So if you look at those 2 monitors, top one was Vision, bottom one was Mini S. Now Mini S we'll talk about in a second, but the piece that was most exciting to me was the audio bridge. So as I mentioned, there is no audio on Vision. There will be an extra box that you can purchase if you want to do audio separately. It's 8 XLR inputs, 4 outputs, only makes NDI audio. It's got an Ethernet port on it. That's it. It's very exciting. So that is the bridge. I'm sure you can stack those and have as much NDI audio as you want on the network, but very, very cool. That was a prototype. It was locked up under lock and key. I couldn't get the door open because that was the only one available. I'm told for any of you who are going to be at NAB New York, we will be showing it at NAB New York. So make sure you are there. We'll have vision. We'll have the audio box, and special announcement. Because New Tech is opening up I said New Tech. Sorry, Fizz. It's never going to change. It's always going to be. Ewan's laughing because, he heard me do it 20 times last week. We are, so because VizRT is opening up Mini S as a software-only product, we are going to be showcasing 3 VizRT certified boxes designed to run Mini S at NAB New York. So if you are considering the Mini software, but you want a certified box that will be supported by Viz, we're going to be showcasing them. They are in Texas right now getting certified and getting the final spec rundown on them. But once done, we'll be showing them off at NAB, and that will be certified hardware that you can run.
Like we're making the hardware?
Yeah. We're making them in our South Haven facility. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll have 3 versions. We're going to have an entry-level, low-cost version, a performance version, and a rack mount version. So we'll have different options for people based on what they want. 1-year, 3-year support, hardware, software, pre-built, ready to go. We'll even be loading all of the software ahead of time. So it's going to be very exciting.
This is going to be such a game changer, I think, for everybody that is sort of been in the Viz ecosystem. You made the boo-boo of New Tech, but it's been around for a long time.
It's always New Tech to me.
So but then I was saying is it's just basically like this is a whole different approach for Viz for doing production with the TriCaster and stuff. It used to be, as everybody knows, it was like if you didn't have the unit that you wanted at the time, that was it. You had to upgrade. There was always going to be a time where you had to upgrade, but they're just giving you so much more versatility and flexibility now with being able to say that it's like, hey, you want sort of your own, choose your own adventure style. You've got Mini S. If you want the flagship, it's still the flagship TriCaster that you know and love, but it looks different. It again has more versatility. The fact, you couldn't upgrade a TC2E to have more SDI if you wanted to. There was no way to do that. It's like the SDI that it had is the SDI that it had. This is giving you more options, more control. I really hope nobody thinks that this is taking anything away from you. I think this is great. I'm really excited.
Now, the potential is massive, right? Because now the hardware can sort of meet the customer at their level, and not sort of have to go one way or the other. So it's all good.
Do you think they'll take off that message where it's like, are you sure you want to like exit the TriCaster software?
I'll let you know shortly.
Can you actually like use it for other things too?
I'll let you know shortly.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. I can't wait to find that part out.
I mean, Ewan's already asking if we can preload Llama on every box. So yes, yeah.
That would be wild.
Imagine, that'll be their performance machine. So we'll have audio bridge and everything. Especially we got like you can't see it behind me. We got a Allen and Heath CQ20B sitting behind me. It's 20 inputs, 6 outputs, and we're using it to encode into Llama and other stuff.
Love that thing.
And it's under $1,000. It's a brilliant little audio rack. So all kinds of great ways to do this, but it's going to be a whole new world. All right, so we let's jump over to some things that that are new and different. How about we jump into Zcam? Roll the Zcam footage.
All right, if you don't know this, our studio is full of Zcams. We use them for the live stream. We've got them all over the place. We encode them to NDI, but I am told there is something new from the team at Zcam that's going to save me some encoders. So let's talk to the man behind the magic and get a little look at it. All right, Kinson, how are you? Wait, let's get the camera in the right spot. All right, tell me, what is it you're working on that you're bringing to the table today?
Well, our Zcam Professional, our new P2 series. P stands for professional. So in the P2 series, we do have the P2R1, which is our first PTZ camera. This camera comes in with a relatively large CMOS sensor. It's a 1.3 inch CMOS sensor, supporting 4K 60 and also PDAF, face detection autofocus. But it's not only that, because when we talk to the people in the field, in this industry, for those who are familiar with PTZ camera, they're always looking for, better image quality. When we ask them what do they mean by better image quality, it's basically it comes down to two things: it's the color science, the accuracy of the white balance, but it's also the shadow depth of field. Now that is why we use a relatively large sensor, which gives you better low light, better shadow depth of field, but most important of all is actually the color science, which really differentiates this. When it comes to image quality. We focus a lot on the skin tone because we actually use the same color science as our Zcam cinema camera onto the professional series. So you can see, in our live demo, the image quality, the color accuracy, the auto white balance, everything is above the competition. So if you do side-by-side comparison with any other PTZ camera in the market, you see the difference.
Okay, now not just a PTZ
he'll start to
Z
go
camera,
over
but
to
you
the-
put this,
the
you put the lens in a box as well, did you?
I think.
Yes, we do have the
actually,
other
let's
model
just pause
also
right here,
in the
everybody.
P2 series, the P2B1. The B1 is
Okay. So this clip goes on for a little bit, but it's all going to be available on MassPoint Digital's YouTube channel. So definitely go ahead and check that out if you want to see the full thing. But this is really all right. That's perfect. This is a really interesting concept for them. So the Zcam E2N. It has NDI HX3 enabled. Now, for those of you who don't know what Zcam is, I'm actually using a Zcam right now. I'm using the E2, and I actually have a couple of E2s in the studio. And I like them because they're the box cam format, but they allow for interchangeable lenses. So, and originally, like the ones that I'm using right now, I've got plugged into Sparks, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. But the fact that having NDI, as anybody knows, it's like if you could put the encoder in the camera, like by and large do that, like, because it just makes it so much simpler. It's one less cable. It frees up your HDMI port to be able to, go to a monitor or something else, especially for box cams. So these are made more for a production environment. So it's, it behooves you to have a monitor put on top of your camera. So in this case, to be able to say that it's like now your HDMI port is freed up, it allows you to be able to, to get those cameras onto your network in a different way. But I love the flexibility of these things. I don't know if you can see this, but I actually have full control of my camera right here. And it's a fast preview like on my phone, and I have like I said, I have full control over my my f-stop, my aperture, my shutter speed, my picture profiles, all that kind of stuff on my phone. But then there's also a PC app that allows you to be able to do it that way. I think there's a web GUI as well. But these are just really beautiful, solid cameras, full 4K. They have full frame versions. I don't think the E2N is a full frame version, but they just in general they make really high quality boxes.
They do have it. They do have a full frame version of the
NDI one.
Yep.
Nick,
but they're
it's
both
Christmas in
they're
like
both
2.5 months.
They're both HX. That's the only. I mean, so kind of from that perspective, I mean, not that HX is bad by any measure, but I think if you're going to put that good of optics and that type of lensing, I'd want to have full. So
totally.
I'd probably just save the $300 and put that towards a new lens. And,
guaranteed.
Throw a Kilo View on the back of it.
Mm-hmm. No, guaranteed. Yeah. So it's, but all I'm saying is that it's really awesome to be able to say that it's like I have the same control that you would have in a normal box camera. You have all that same control, but then also it's on the network, and you're able to use interchangeable lenses to be able to get the shallow depth of field, additional control over the, over the image, like we, like every last one of us is using a mirrorless camera right now. So, it's really awesome. I'm super excited about this.
And now they got a PTZ.
Yeah, which on one hand, you don't have the interchangeable lens on the PTZ. I think that would have been even more sexy if they had thrown an E2 on that and given you that kind of style. We didn't get that here. However, I mean, it looked really good. The color science was spot on. Watch the full video at Mass Point Digital's YouTube site. It's pretty impressive when you get to the color science. I mean, obviously, you're watching it through a little DJI Osmo, so it does throw away some of the good stuff. But it was really impressive, the depth of field on that camera, and it's available in a box too. It doesn't have to just be a PTZ camera; it can be a box as well. So, very impressive work by those guys.
So they did not. They didn't do so on their PTZ camera. You're saying that it was a fully housed PTZ camera.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it looks like any other PTZ camera. It's not interchangeable lens. It's not anything removable. It's a fixed product. Fixed lens, fix everything.
Because I'm hoping at some point they do what Sony did with the FR7 and just literally do what you're saying. And just
that's what I'd love to see that. I mean, and you had the announcement from Panasonic this week with 2 new box cams. So they launched 2 new box cams, both with NDI this time. So I mean, we're definitely seeing. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the last pod, which was sort of the movement towards micro four thirds and to interchangeable lenses in the NDI world. We're seeing more and more, but it's kind of funny to see somebody who started that space and has now moved over to fixed.
Yeah.
It's like, MLZ Cam, you built this market. Now you're walking away from it. But it's okay. I mean,
it's also the Z cam, like zoom cam, PTZ Z cam, like it's like so
Paul was very bitter. He's like, we own Z cam, and it's like there's Z dash cam, and I'm like, that makes sense. It makes sense. Either way,
it's kind of confusing. You Google it, and it's like a bunch of different things come up. You're like,
the reality is there are so many great cameras coming into the space now. I haven't seen the cinema market embed NDI. That's okay. Right, because we can do that with an encoder on the backside. But I just think that we're getting more and more flexible, unique styles of cameras that are just making this a whole lot easier.
Well, because I think I think that's very astute of what you said is that the cinema market has not dove into NDI just yet. I think that's still because of the insane bit rates that are required, the insane color spaces that are required. I don't think that we're going to be there anytime soon to where it's like, oh yeah, everything's NDI, and it's like that. This is the feed that we're pulling. However, with streaming video and even broadcast video to a certain degree, I think that you're still wanting, a lot of people like we are still wanting that cinematic look, the soft background, the super sharp images.
Look at House of Worship, right? They're all over Red.
Yeah.
They're all over Canon. They're all over these cinema cameras because they love that look, that style, that buttery feel in their stream. So I think what's happening is cinema is getting pulled into live broadcasts versus broadcast technologies being moved into cinema. I mean, the only place I could really see cinema taking advantage of NDI is for monitoring on set, right? Because we could plug an Ethernet cable and people could have Solem monitors on the wall and be monitoring the stream. Cool.
Guaranteed.
What ifs? All right, let's bail over. Okay, let's talk about something so wild. And this was a request of Jordan's probably like 2 years ago. And then I just was walking by a booth and I saw this and said, wow, look at that. I don't even know why I want this, but it's cool. So roll salary works. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, this is NDI to DMX converter. So our company is focusing to NDI product and NDI technology. So as you know, NDI is very focusing to video and audio, but sometimes some small studio they want to use totally writing control also used. So we implemented our video streaming switcher. So over there we have. So in our video switcher, we can control writing and video, audio together in one software. Yeah.
Well done.
Right, we can download from our website, and this is. So we are focusing to very easy to use for non-export video shooting. So this is NDI. So if you have some NDI video source in your network, you can auto detect all NDI source. For example, you can change and to video switcher, just click and go, and so on. Very easy to use. And to control the bit writing, you can detect NDI writing source. Click.
Okay, audience, what you don't see is that there's a moving head fixture that is adjusting right now. It's basically like a PTZ light that he's motioning around. It's quite cool. All from this interface over NDI.
This is now simple test version. So we will add more function to control lighting and so on. Yeah. So this is we have many views. So we can make many layout. So just overlay
Throw me in, coach.
and go and so on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
impressive.
go ahead and pull away. We saw the fun parts on that one. Okay, so the reality of that one is, yeah, Salray has a switching software. It's cheap and it does the job if that's all you need it to do. But that's not the important part of the story here. Is that somebody built a box to take DMX and run it down an NDI channel so that you can control devices at the other end. Now, it requires a encoder and a decoder, so to speak, to carry the signal, but it's just the ability to say, I don't have to run proprietary DMX cabling anywhere. I can utilize it inside of my NDI software, right? And I think that's really where the unique piece was, is that they're controlling this box inside of their software. So it's no longer, I got to have this lighting software over here, but I could fire out DMX commands that are tied to macros, to switches, to camera movements, and kind of tie that all together. And I think it kind of plays into, Jordan called this out for Mark Roberts' motion control, how they do DMX control. And now saying, we can start to look at how DMX plays inside the larger ecosystem, how it all kind of comes together. I don't think we have time to dive into Mark Roberts today because we're pushing the envelope here on time, but it's a interesting concept to be able to say, like, we think of audio and video data, we think of a little bit of metadata in terms of the 3D telemetry that we're now doing with some of the cameras, where we can take 3D telemetry out of the PTZ camera and send that to XR software, so that we know where the camera lens is looking at. But who would have thunk DMX would have been the next thing?
And we're pushing it
except
more
for
and more
Jordan.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying that is, I had some really interesting, sort of concepts, floating around that I was just like, it would be cool if, a lot of these protocols that we have come to know and love and utilize all the time, like MIDI, like OSC, like DMX, like, can those also be put into, wrapped in NDI? And most people would say, well, why do you want to do that? For me, the biggest thing is the fact that it's like, if I could say that my entire production is tied up in NDI Bridge or some sort of, that's not the only product, but like to be able to say that it's like, yeah, once I connect to Bridge, I've got your audio, I've got your video, and now I've got your lighting. And then, potentially, other stuff like movers and fog machines and other things over DMX or OSC or MIDI or whatever it is. There are still these holes in remote production. There's still a couple of holes where it's just like, if you want to be totally and completely remote, where none of the staff is there, it's not fully there yet with everything, but this is a huge step in my opinion.
Agreed. I mean, it's really about unifying, and I didn't think about it in terms of remote production. So thanks for pulling it on that thread, because to me, I was just thinking about, can I unify all of my control in one layer, right?
Yeah,
Where I could have whatever my switching software du jour, queuing lights, queuing cameras, queuing graphics. Kind of now we're connecting all the dots. I didn't even think remote, to be perfectly frank, but that really is probably the strongest point now, where, I mean, and nobody knows this, but we'll go ahead and loan a dirty secret. There's 3 of us in 3 different places in the country right now, and a 4th guy running it from the other side of the country. So Alex is in Florida running the TriCaster over Bridge in Folsom, California. Imagine if he had control of Jordan's lights at the same time.
Yeah. Or imagine if we had control of your lights when, like this morning, I was just like, hey, can you,
I have control of my lights. All you have to do is tell Google. Wait.
No, I know. I'm just saying, if I could do it, I could do it faster.
Quiet. She's always listening. See right there.
Guys, I got the next big thing over NDI.
Yeah.
Email over NDI.
I hate you right now. I mean, I just want to, this is why I always start drinking. It's because of that. I do not need another email in my life.
Oh my gosh. There will be a day though.
Wait. Hold.
What you got?
Ewan just jumped in. We just finalized the MIDI over NDI sender and
There you
receiver for
go.
Llama Connect. Done. You know,
go.
big things happen on the NDI
Yes.
Now show. I don't know if people realize this. Guys like
I know,
Elias out there who's
Elias.
constantly developing, Ewan in the team. I mean, we got people like Judy piling in with us. So big things happen on the show. Share it with all your friends, please. I need a new pair of
Absolutely.
shoes.
Yep. And a new backpack. A new travel backpack.
Lesson of the
TSA
day.
lost all of them.
Always check your good technology on the plane. Don't try and carry it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we should wrap this one up. People are at the end of their day, wherever they may be. Big thanks and shout out to Alex Udell for running the board today. Much obliged to have you running console. That was fun for Jordan to not have to stress over too many things at the same time. Thank you, Silas, for joining all the way from Colorado, Jordan in Folsom, California, and me, your host, Nick Smith. I'm in South Carolina, and we'll see you at NAB New York. If you don't see us there, stay tuned for our next episode coming in about 30 days. We'll probably recap the cool things we see at NAB New York. We're over and we're out. Bye-bye.